Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the second segment, episode 147. I would like to introduce you to Mayur Chudasama. Mayur, welcome today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Mayur is the property manager for the Ebby Halliday companies. You know, as you know, we are part of the Dave Perry Miller company, which is part of the Ebby Halliday companies. And Mayur joined our company, was it a year ago now?
2 years.
2 years ago now, and has really taken our property management department from here to here. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, I've been licensed for 11 years, and the majority of that time is spent under leasing and property management and in that that field of real estate. So I've worked with everything from small companies managing, just here locally to national companies managing tens of thousands of properties. And then personally, I'm married. I have two little ones, a 5-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter, and they kind of occupy pretty much all my time outside of the office. Other than that, love staying active, doing everything fitness related, whether it's running, 10Ks. I've fallen in love with my Peloton now, which I'm super excited to have, and I can talk your ear off on that.
It's so funny because we've had so many conversations with people about Pelotons lately. I mean, and it's obviously an industry that's exploding, but tell us again what you were saying earlier about why you like it, because I thought that was really important.
Well, last year we decided to build out our home gym and stop going to the studios that we were enrolled in, and a big part of that was that we lost the sense of community. And Peloton kind of really brings that together while still working out at home. Man, I sound like a commercial for it, but I stand by it. It gives you a really great workout. The trainers are all really awesome. It gives you motivation, inspiration, and a good sweat. I mean, it's a really great piece of equipment, but it's also the content and community that they provide that I love.
Does your wife ride as much as you do?
No.
She
works out as much as I do, but she still goes to a studio.
Does
she likes the in-person community.
Well, and that's, Weston was telling you earlier, he really likes lifting a lot more than cardio. And so I can see how somebody that is really into that mode of fitness, that's really like a big draw to them. So
yeah, of course. And I was mentioning that as I start to get older, I'm turning 40 this next month, and fitness is more about like injury prevention now. Like, I just don't want to hurt my back when I'm picking up my son, rather than like looking good in a tank top, right? I've kind of shifted as I get closer to 40, so that's where I am now.
How many properties do you manage for us?
We manage just under 700 properties, and so I oversee a team of agents. There are 14 agents. They're working out of 10 different offices all over the Metroplex, and they just do leasing and property management.
Wow.
And so they have portfolios anywhere from 50 up to 150, depending on how long they've been doing it, what areas they cover. But we cover really the entire North Texas area.
Wow, that's great. And, it seems like as more people have learned that real estate investing really is one of the ways to get that generational wealth to grow, it seems like more and more people are realizing that maybe I don't like being a property manager. Now I like the idea of owning investment property. I just don't really like the nuts and bolts of property management.
Yeah, and most of our owners are not like institutional investors that have 20, 30, 50, 100 properties, right? They own on average 1 to 2 properties, and they have full-time jobs, they have families, they have priorities, they want to travel, they don't want to be taking phone calls at 2 o'clock in the morning or when they're on vacation or on holidays. And so, they don't have the time, and often they don't have the temperament for it. And so it's really important to have a professional property management company in place that can be the buffer in between you as the landlord and the tenant.
Property management is to me one of those fields that is really kind of it's very thankless in many times, because you don't get people that call you and say, hey, I'm going to pay my rent early this month. Hey, my dishwasher worked great last night.
You get called when there's a problem, and we have landlords that say, oh no, they're calling me, something's wrong. But we try to make it like what I call the triple win, right? It doesn't have to be that the landlord makes money and pays off their mortgage and the tenants lose, right? There's a situation where you can have where tenants are happy with the home that they're in, they're comfortable, the property's well maintained, they have good communication with the management company, and the landlord has an investment that's appreciating paying off their expenses that they have, their carrying costs. And then as a management company, we win because we get to satisfy our client, who our responsibility is to, but also provide a good service for the tenant. So win, win, win is always our goal.
And to us, being with a company that provides that service is really a win for us too, because we work to make ourselves the one point of contact for everything real estate with our clients. And I feel like in many years ago, when we had people call us and we weren't comfortable referring them to our property management division at that moment, we were letting our client down. And so when Chris announced that you were joining us and we looked at your background, we thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be, it kind of fills in that cog that we didn't quite have. So it's important to us on the street as well.
Yeah, it's been really great. And, I mentioned my background in the different companies that I've worked for. And what's been really great about the Ebby Halliday family is you get the best of both worlds. You have this local company in Dave Perry Miller and Ebby Halliday. You have a local agent handling the property management. You always have their cell phone number, you know how to get a hold of them. But then you have this giant behind them, right? And Home Services of America, Berkshire Hathaway. So I always say we're small enough to know you, but large enough to serve you. So you really get the best of both worlds with the style and the systems that we have in place for property management.
That's great. What have you seen in rent rates?
Through the roof. Yeah, it's kind of a combination of a number of things, but we put out a quarterly report recently to kind of talk about what we're seeing. And what we have been seeing is that the rent rates are going up because the inventory is low, similar to the sales market. And the inventory is low because the tenants that are in properties are not comfortable moving, or they have uncertainty in their personal jobs. So they don't want to make a move or spend more in rent elsewhere. And so they're staying, they're signing renewals. So that's creating less of a turnover and properties that are available on the market. Then you have this influx of people from out of state, companies moving here, mainly from California and other areas. But those people are looking for renting before they buy in most situations. And then you have these people that have been involved with the storms earlier this year. We've had floods, and so you have a lot of insurance claims and short-term rental needs. And so that whole perfect storm has created a really high demand. And so rent rates are increasing because of the demand, and then the inventory is low because people aren't moving.
I pulled one of the pages from that report that you sent out that I thought the report itself was fantastic, so thank you. Do you want to talk about some of the numbers on this and what y'all are seeing in trends?
Yeah, of course. So this is, kind of what I mentioned is that the available properties, the number of homes rented has decreased. So it went from last year in this quarter, 3,112 down to about 2,700. So fewer properties on the market. And at the same time, the rent rate has gone up from an average of 1986, just under 2,000, to all the way close to 2,300. So it's seen a huge jump in the pricing just over the course of 1 year, and a big decrease in the available properties in that time frame.
Wow. How do you see the ending of the eviction moratorium affecting your market, and do you see it affecting like the value of property, either on a rental side or on a purchase side? Do you see any impact from that?
I don't know necessarily that there's an impact on the purchasing side. It definitely will have an impact on the available properties, because some of these tenants who have been unable to pay the rent and have been protected by the moratorium are now going to have to go through the eviction process. And so there will be, they've been calling like a tidal wave of evictions. Courts will be backed up for a number of months as they process through all the evictions. So there will be some of that. There's also a great deal of rental assistance. So I think the focus is shifting towards that in ways that we can provide rental assistance to the tenants to keep them in their properties, but also still make the landlords whole so that they can continue paying their mortgage and covering whatever expenses they have on the property. So I think that's where our focus is shifting to now. We've been lucky that we haven't had to do a lot of evictions, and in most cases we've been able to negotiate like an early termination of the lease, a mutual move out, so that way there's no blemish on the tenant side, having an eviction judgment, and the landlord gets his property back to move on with whatever their plans are.
That it seems like this has gone on to the point where it really does need to end, in my opinion. I mean, I think it was there to help a lot of people that, we're in a bind.
Sure.
But I think it's time, because I think a lot of people feel that when you talk about landlords, you're talking about just this big entity out here. And like you said early on, it's just a bunch of, people that might own 1 or 2 investment properties.
Right. And most of them have mortgages that they have to continue paying.
Yeah.
And if there's no rent income coming in and you're paying out of pocket, it puts everybody in a bind. And so you have this kind of, you have these evictions that are on hold, and then you also have on the owner side, the landlord side, potential foreclosures that are on hold because they're in forbearance because they can't pay their mortgage. Tenants are in the moratorium, so they can't pay their rent because of job loss or whatever the situation is. So it's going to be kind of flowing through that process, and hopefully, this rental assistance, which is still available in pretty much every state, hopefully that will provide some additional relief for people.
Well, I think you're right. I think there is more of a focus on that, because I've seen a lot more of information about that come up in all my social media feeds, and it's probably because I've got real estate somewhere, written in my bio.
The algorithm is reading you.
Well, we really appreciate you coming in today. We tried to get you in before the pandemic started, and I think we were scheduled for it, and then everybody was like, nope, stay home. Right. And so I'm really glad appreciate you coming back in. So
yeah, it's been great.
If you have rental property that you need a property manager for, we're going to have Mayur's information up on the screen, and reach out to him. As you can tell, very personable guy. He would love to help you. And as he said, one of the 15 property managers that we have would be happy to take over your property and help you with it.
That was a great show, and it was a lot of good information. If you actually go to my Facebook page, I took some fun pictures from behind the scenes to kind of let you see what we see when we're not standing on this side of the camera.
We really do appreciate you joining us. We hope you'll enjoy us next week for Sold with Updike Pugh Wednesday at noon. Have a happy Labor Day.
And remember, we want to be realtors for life.